So here we have a wild Lincoln Town Car in its natural habitat, a church. And I'm making this video. We haven't made a video in a long time, been busy, but I decided to make one today because Tyler Hoover from Hoovy's Garage just bought two new Lamborghinis, a Countach and a Diablo. And I figured if I ever want to own one of those someday, I better get on that YouTube grind. So here we are. Here is my 1 year ownership report of my lovely Lincoln Town Car. Hopefully by next year I'll be reviewing a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever expensive car that's unrealistic. But we'll see. That's on you guys. So like and subscribe. So we are officially into the new year 2021. It's been a rocky, rough year as we all know, but I got this car about a year ago today, and I just kind of wanted to show you what it's like to own this car for about a year. Obviously, you guys really liked this car on the first video that I did. We got about 15,000 views and a good chunk of new subscribers, which is kind of cool. I wasn't really expecting you guys to like this old grandpa car, but I wasn't really expecting to like it that much anyway either. So I guess it kind of surprised us all. But this car has been absolutely spectacular to own, and I really proved my argument that it was the best American luxury sedan, the last great American luxury sedan you could get. So I apologize for the somewhat dirty car. It's too cold to get a car wash. I wasn't really doing much, so I didn't really prepare for this at all. But this car has proved to be everything I want in a luxury car. I originally anticipated owning this for about 6 to 12 months and passing it on, selling it. But at this point, I really don't want to. I really like this car. It has all of the features, everything that you'd actually want in a German luxury car, like an S-Class, 7 Series, whatever, but for a fraction of the cost. So these things are very inexpensive to purchase. You can get a pretty good one for around $2,000. I'm starting to see them slightly elevate in price, pushing $5,000 to $7,000 for a really clean one. This isn't an example of one that would fetch $7,000 by any means, because it's got over 100,000 miles and it's not perfect. It's very good, but it's not perfect. But these things are starting to appreciate. They are starting to become harder to find, and I think that's because people are starting to realize how great of a car this is to own. So, in addition to these cars being cheap to purchase, they're incredibly cheap to own. And that is because this Panther platform, which includes this town car, Crown Victorias, the Police Interceptor, the Marauder, Marquis, it is the longest running platform in automotive history. They started building this platform in 1979, and they went all the way up to, I believe it's 2011. So for that reason, these cars are everywhere. Their parts are everywhere. They're all over the place in junkyards, and parts are incredibly cheap for that reason, especially in comparison to Mercedes, BMW, the other German luxury cars, where you are going to be forking over tons of money in comparison for replacement parts for this vehicle. In addition, and also compared to these luxury cars from Germany, is that these are much more reliable. The 4.6 liter V8 is incredibly reliable. It poses very little issues, and if you do have an issue, it is very both easy and inexpensive to fix. So for that reason, these cars are used as your police cars, your limousines, your taxi cabs, because they're incredibly cheap to own and incredibly cheap to ramp up the miles well over 200, 300, and even 400,000 miles. So over the course of a year, I've had to pay very little to keep this car running. In addition to oil changes, I've had to do ball joints, which was very inexpensive for me to do because of the low parts prices and my trusty mechanic Leo. But I mean, this car has several different quirks that are slightly odd. For example, my rear windows, they wouldn't roll down. And I, kind of went out to fix that. But all I really had to do to get them working again was really slam the door, and it just started working. So, obviously there are going to be little issues with the car being as old as it is. Some of the buttons don't work. Some of the lights don't work behind it, so they don't light up all the way. But other than that, it's been very, very inexpensive to own, and some of those little things aren't even worth fixing. It doesn't really take away from the experience of the car, and it's kind of what you expect for a car of this age, and not really worth putting money into getting sorted. But other than that, it's been great. It has little issues. These wheels are insanely corroded. It was like that when I bought the car, and I had hoped on fixing it, but I just haven't so far. And watching other guys' videos on YouTube, they are having the same issue. They've refinished them and they look great. So I imagine that's what I'm going to do at some point, sooner rather than later, but I'm not insanely worried about it. In total, I've probably spent less than $500 keeping this car running in the year 2020. 2021, who knows what it'll bring, but I anticipate it not being very much more expensive than that. Obviously, as this car ages and goes up in miles, there are going to be more issues with it. Little leaks, I anticipate the airbags going out in the near future, next couple of years. But that's something you kind of expect with these cars. The one thing I think I've enjoyed most about the Town Car is its interior. So obviously there's a little wear on the driver's seat, but the rest of the interior is pretty remarkable still. And obviously I have a little golf ball down there, which is pretty typical for a Town Car owner, someone that enjoys playing golf. But what I enjoy the most about this car is the back seats. For some reason, Lincoln really spoiled us. These seats are incredibly plush and still in great shape. The previous owner must not have used these back seats much, and I can't say I have either, which is unfortunate. But it's been a great experience owning this car, living in this car, not literally, but it's been very pleasant, and the interior is held up very, very well. And that is thanks to Lincoln's great build quality. I was really pleasantly surprised that you guys enjoyed this car so much, and you enjoyed it so much that it's the most viewed video on Fast and Cheap, which is very surprising, very pleasantly surprising nonetheless. But for that reason, I plan on keeping this car, and I plan on making more videos with it. But in addition to having more videos with this car, I plan on bringing more entertaining content, Harrison and I, that you guys will enjoy, perhaps even more than this. Fingers crossed. So that'll be the 2021 New Year's resolution. But in conclusion, I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great new year. Thanks for watching.